This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Tuesday, May 19th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, President Donald Trump's stunning announcement. He's taking the drug hydroxychloroquine to help protect him against COVID-19. But was it a smart move? We're going to talk to our medical reporter, Lori Johnson, about that and about the potential breakthrough on a coronavirus vaccine. America is supposed to be the land of free speech, so why are there so many complaints about online censorship in social media, especially on controversial subjects like the coronavirus outbreak? Some good news from Israel, from a location famous from the Bible, a place visited by Jesus. We're going to tell you what's happening there right now. And she was in the hospital, and then she was in heaven. We're going to hear her story as she tells us what she saw and heard. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour with the news that the president has been taking hydroxychloroquine, the anti-malaria drug that some have successfully used as a treatment for COVID-19, while others have cautioned against it. Despite concerns about the drug, so far the president is doing fine. Dil Hurd is on this story.
President Trump is being attacked after saying he's been taking hydroxychloroquine and a zinc supplement daily for a week and a half as a protective treatment for coronavirus, and after consulting with his doctor.
I'm taking it, hydroxychloroquine. Right now, yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I started taking it. Because I think it's good. I've heard a lot of good stories.
Dr. Sean Conley, the president's doctor, issued a memorandum to the media saying he and the president discussed the treatment and decided the potential benefits outweighed any risks. Last month, the FDA warned against using it for COVID-19 outside of hospitals or clinical trials because it could cause heart problems.
He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved by the scientists, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So I think it's not a good idea.
But on Tucker Carlson, Dr. Mark Siegel, a professor at NYU Medical School, said hydroxychloroquine is a proven antiviral drug.
Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit has given it to 3,000 healthcare workers, Tucker, to see if it prevents them from getting COVID-19. So when Dr. Sean Conley, the president's physician, who I have met with and think is quite reasonable, weighs the options back and forth, he decides to prescribe it for the president. It is a doctor-patient decision. It should not be challenged.
Meanwhile, a potential breakthrough on the vaccine front from Moderna Labs. Early testing shows all 45 human subjects developed antibodies against coronavirus. The FDA has approved Moderna to continue the test. The vaccine will go through 2 more rounds of human testing, and if those trials continue to show it's safe and effective, it might be ready by the end of the year. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And medical reporter Lori Johnson joins us now with more. So the president taking hydroxychloroquine, an anti-malaria drug, as we've reported. Medically sound move?
Well, you know, it's very interesting that the president decided to divulge this information yesterday. A lot of us are like, that's so him, because yesterday the big news was the vaccine and the wonderful progress in phase 1 trials. And then he just sort of like blurts this out that he's been taking this medication. And really, no one in this country is required to talk about what's going on with their medical situation. That is between a doctor and a patient, and that decision for what medications to take or not to take is private and between a person and their physician. He decided to divulge that anyway. And again, I mean, his doctor, this is a prescription medication. His doctor prescribed it. It's up to his doctor. And the FDA did warn that it might be trouble for people who have heart issues. Apparently, the president is not in that category. And we've seen so much circumstantial evidence, so much anecdotal evidence that hydroxychloroquine helps people who have recovered from COVID-19. Now that we know that the president is taking it on a prophylactic basis in order to prevent getting it. And there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that that works as well. Regarding scientific evidence, there are arguments on both sides. Some studies say it does work, even prophylactically. Some say it really doesn't and could be harmful.
Indeed. Now, the Trump administration has said we may have a vaccine ready for the public this fall. wishful thinking, or do you think that's likely?
There are some people who say it actually might happen. Where we saw about the phase 1 trial that was excellent, couldn't have gone better. Now Moderna is entering phase 2 trials as we speak, recruiting 600 volunteers. So they're going to be giving it to 600 people. Half of them are going to be under age 55, half over age 55. The phase 1 trial was just under age 55. So it'll be interesting to see how it affects people who are older. And then possibly in July, thousands of people. That's going to be phase 3 trials. The question is, when will that end? Could be early fall. And then the question becomes getting that vaccine to the people who need it most.
So let's say we have a vaccine ready by the fall. What about manufacturing enough doses and delivering it to our enormous population? That's pretty
right.
hefty.
It's a Herculean task. Indeed. And so they're thinking that a lot of people don't realize, wait a second, how do you take the vaccine once you know that it works and is effective and safe? How do you get it to all these people? So already the administration and the Department of Defense are gearing up to make some of these and figure out ways to manufacture it in a speedy way, maybe even start making it early before the vaccine is actually approved, so that when it is approved, they already have a stockpile. And again, it might be only available to those most in need in the fall or at the very end of the year. We're talking about healthcare workers and, of course, nursing home residents. And remember, Ephraim, a lot of people are afraid of a vaccine that's been rushed to market. You don't have to take it if you don't want to take it. Some nursing homes might require it. Some healthcare facilities might require it of their workers. But the government is not going to require people to have a vaccine. Remember, only 60% of people get the flu vaccine. And even schools that require vaccines, if you don't want to take those vaccines, you can always homeschool.
Indeed, indeed. Lori Johnson, thank you so much. Much appreciate your insight there. A couple of other coronavirus headlines in the news right now we want to tell you about. President Trump is threatening to permanently cut his administration's funding of the World Health Organization and possibly even withdraw if it doesn't make major improvements in 30 days. The president says an administration investigation found the WHO made, quote, repeated missteps in the early days of the outbreak and that it needs to show its independence from China. Nearly 300 religious leaders, including Franklin Graham and Dr. James Dobson, are urging Congress to protect faith-based organizations from possible lawsuits during the COVID-19 outbreak. Their letter says their concerns over possible lawsuits from people who may say they got the disease at church or after receiving services from a religious group. The coronavirus lockdowns have meant food banks are facing challenges helping those in need. One food bank recently kicked off a campaign bringing in Mercy Chefs, a group with experience helping during disasters. Charlene Aaron is on this story.
Agency's Mercy Chefs is preparing and delivering restaurant-quality meals to senior citizens and at-risk kids impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Chef Gary LeBlanc leads the ministry, which has served more than 2 million meals at natural disaster sites in some 23 states and 8 nations.
Our hallmark is hot meals, but with this, we've been doing the cooking one day and blast chilling and freezing overnight, and then packing frozen meals that are then distributed to seniors and shut-ins. So it's a new thing for us.
It is all part of the initiative Food Plus Faith Equals Hope. The goal, get 15,000 meals each week to homebound seniors. Dr. Ruth Jones-Nichols oversees the food bank of Southeastern Virginia and the Eastern Shore.
Through this partnership effort, we really are still relying on our faith-based organizations and communities to come together and really leverage food and faith to inspire hope.
And LeBlanc says this is far from simple fast food.
We're doing high-quality, handcrafted, chef-prepared meals. They're balanced, they're nutritious, and they're delicious. They're comfort food.
Campaign co-chair Bishop Courtney McBath says the current crisis has created tremendous demand.
Senior services and all these wonderful folks have always taken care of folks with meals on wheels and those kinds of things. But now the need is just so much greater now, and finding a way to try to meet that need was our goal.
And that includes demonstrating faith in action.
I want us to be known as the church that when we were in our greatest need, we took care of people in their greatest need.
The Food Plus Faith Equals Hope initiative officially runs through July 3rd, although LeBlanc and others plan to keep handing out hope for as long as needed.
There are some individuals and populations that experience food insecurity throughout the year. So right now, we're doing a little bit more for this population, but I anticipate that we will need to do even more once we are beyond the pandemic.
The meal counts are unbelievable, over 3,000 meals a day. That number keeps going up every day. We add more people to the distribution program. We're determined, we're committed. We're going to stand in as long as we need to.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
In other news this hour, Attorney General William Barr says he doesn't expect the investigation into the FBI's Russia investigation to lead to criminal probes of either former President Barack Obama or his Vice President Joe Biden. Barr did say he believed what happened to President Trump as a result of the FBI investigation was, quote, a grave injustice. Meanwhile, congressional Democrats told the Supreme Court Monday they need grand jury evidence from Robert Mueller's Russia probe as part of their ongoing impeachment investigation. The court filing said if the Mueller information reveals new evidence, the House Judiciary Committee may consider recommending new articles of impeachment. Coming up, Americans value their freedom of speech, but online speech is often being censored by major tech companies like YouTube, Twitter, and others, especially on important subjects like the coronavirus outbreak. We're going to explain what's going on there when we come back.
October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Freedom of speech is one of the foundations of America, but it's running into roadblocks online on platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter because they're businesses. They're also freely censoring certain information. For instance, who decides what information about the current virus stays posted online and what does not? Jennifer Wishon takes a look.
This protest at Michigan State House is protected by the First Amendment, but posts encouraging people to participate were silenced by Facebook. The social media giant reportedly yanking them because the event didn't urge participants to stay in their cars or wear masks as state guidelines require. Meanwhile, this video of a press conference given by two California doctors went viral.
I say, do we need to still shelter in place? Our answer is emphatically no.
After testing some 5,000 patients for COVID-19, Dr. Dan Erickson and his colleague concluded California's lockdown policies were creating more damage than the virus in their part of the state. They suggested only the vulnerable should be quarantined, while other Californians go back to work using guidelines like social distancing, wearing masks, and avoiding large crowds. Their video garnered more than 5 million views before YouTube took it down, due to content that explicitly disputes the efficacy of local health authority recommended guidance on social distancing that may lead others to act against that guidance, according to a company statement offered to local media. Dr. Erickson tells CBN News his motivation was to simply discuss the trends discovered in his clinics.
This is what those of us on the front lines are seeing. I know that there's guys in Washington and they were using predictive models, and that's fine. I said, but locally, here's what I'm seeing.
Even though platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter seem like the public squares of our day, they're not.
You know, nobody reads the fine print when they sign up for Twitter or Facebook, and they don't understand that they're dealing with really a big private company that retains control over its platform.
In other words, the freedoms Americans have to air their opinions in the real public square don't always apply here. And that's a problem, especially when it comes to censoring information about the ever-changing pandemic. The big question, who's the keeper of the accepted wisdom?
Apparently they're going by what the World Health Organization is telling them. This is the same World Health Organization, of which there is now substantial evidence based on accusations that they did everything they could to minimize the threat of this virus.
And the censoring can often feel one-sided, since it's conservative viewpoints that are routinely shut down.
Many of these social media organizations are frankly acting as if the American people are children, and that they are our parents who know better, and they should censor what we see and write. I have a lot more faith in the American people.
Dr. Erickson says his goal was and remains to be part of the solution.
Let's not bicker amongst each other and rip away our communication. Let's focus on using a rational approach to get Americans working again.
Prager University sued YouTube for blocking a number of its viral videos. Most recently, a federal appeals court in Seattle found YouTube is not a public forum subject to the First Amendment. Prager continues its fight in court. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Negative headlines fill the daily news cycle, but when we come back, we have some good news out of Israel. We're going to show you what's happening at a famous biblical location, the Sea of Galilee. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5, Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, The chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities. The chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
In light of everything going on in the world, we could all use some good news and some good news right now. There is great news actually coming out of Israel. After 5 years of drought, something remarkable has happened. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is on this story for us.
For the first time in 20 years, the Sea of Galilee is nearly full.
It's very good for all of us around the Sea of Galilee, for the agriculture, for the farmers, for the tourists, for everybody.
The rise in the Sea of Galilee in the past 2 years has been remarkable. After nearly 5 years of drought, it's risen nearly 18 feet in 2019 and 2020 and expected to rise even more after the snow melts on nearby Mount Hermon.
Every time I see a full lake, it's like I want to sing, I want to cry out of joy, and I keep amazed by the grace of God.
Israel has had more years of drought than rainy years.
During the 5 droughted years, we had a very severe problem with the Sea of Galilee, and we stopped almost completely pumping from the Sea of Galilee. We wanted really to recover the Sea of Galilee as much as possible.
The lake used to be one of 3 of Israel's main sources of drinking water. Then years of little rain, coupled with growing demand, prompted Israel to take other action.
Israel is closing the gap with desalination, with recycling water, with conservation, technologies, education, whatever we can.
Last summer, the shoreline looked like this. It had been dry so long, trees grew along the banks. Now they're underwater. Each year, about 1 million tourists visit this biblical lake, or Kinneret as it's called in Hebrew, but not this year.
Unfortunately, because of the virus, it's empty. And it's this time of the year, we expect it to be filled with many tourists, with many Israelis.
Even Israelis weren't allowed to visit the shore until restrictions began to be lifted. In March, just before the travel ban, CBN News spoke with a tour guide and a visitor here.
It's the first time that I came back to the Sea of Galilee since it has risen so far, and I haven't seen it like this in years.
It's an amazing privilege to be where Jesus was and to go out, especially on a boat, and watch the sunset over a place that I've read in the scriptures so much about.
The lake is currently less than 5 inches from the red line full marker, but the rainy season is over until next October. And each summer, the water level drops by 4 to 5 feet from evaporation. Israelis are already praying for another rainy winter next year and hoping that tourists return to enjoy it. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the Sea of Galilee.
Coming up, she was in the hospital and then she was in heaven. We're going to hear her story right after this. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
It's what starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Charlotte Holmes had an experience that changed her life forever. While in the hospital last September, she died and went to heaven. She told our news program, The Prayer Link, that what she saw was more beautiful than she could ever imagine.
All of a sudden, I opened my eyes, and I knew I wasn't home. I knew I'd gone to my heavenly home. Then I seen the pearly gates, and yep, they're gold. And I looked, and there stood my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my best friend. My mom and my dad and my sister had been sick. All of a sudden, they looked young. There was no glasses. They didn't wear glasses. My cousin that had a leg cut off had both legs. They looked young. They looked like they were in their 30s, early 30s, vibrant. And then at the feet of my mom and dad was this toddler, this child. And I thought, who is that? And I heard the voice. You know, we all know, if we're Christians, we know God's voice. We know when it's him. And I heard him say to me, that's your child.
Now you can see that full interview on the Prayer Link this evening at 6:30 Eastern. Of course, you can find that on the CBN News Channel. Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. I pray this thought will help to motivate you this day and that you will post, tag, tweet, and share it with those in your circle. Remember this, there is no concern too small for our great God. He is concerned with every breath you take. After all, he breathed the very breath of life into the soul of man, and he wants to do that daily for you, and he wants you to cast your every care and concern on him. With this thought, make today a terrific Tuesday. That will do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. Email us. The address is right there on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make it a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.